Good evening and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of College Park. I'm Mayor Bianca Motley Broom. It is 7:30 p.m. We have a quorum with council members Allen, Taylor, and Clay. And so at this time, I will call the meeting to order. Our first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I was waiting for the flag. Thank you, Councilman Allen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our second item is the invocation that will be handled by Chaplain Alexander this evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and councilmen. I pray all is well. May we pray, please. Once again, Father, we come together in your name. We come tonight praying for our city, College Park, our state, and for this nation. I come tonight praying, Father, as I always do, for the unity and wisdom to be upon the governing body of this city, all its employees and its citizens. I pray for our law enforcement, our firefighters, and for the city staff as they protect and work in this city. Father, I pray as our city leaders go through tonight's agenda, that wisdom and understanding will be upon each of them as they make the right decisions concerning this city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, item 2 is additions, deletions, amendments, or changes to the agenda. I have one, a legislative update that will go as number 5. Representative Schofield is here on behalf of us to give us an update. And Ms. Miller, I believe you have another amendment?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We want to add 11B, which is amending the resolution for 11A to include singers.
I think that can just be part of the discussion for,
It can be.
I don't know that we necessarily need a separate item for that.
Okay.
So let's just stick to the amendment that would add Representative Schofield. If there isn't anything else from council. Hearing none.
Move to approve.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes. Item 3A is approval of the regular session minutes dated February 1st. Prior to us starting the meeting, I spoke with Ms. McDaniel. I have a correction online. Ms. McDaniel, can you help me on the line?
Yes, my might be a little bit off on yours. On my line, it's 372.
Okay. And then
further down.
And I'm changing the word descent into decent.
To decent, yes.
Right. Does anyone have any others?
No, mine got in.
All right. Hearing no others, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. That's unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 3B is approval of the workshop session minutes dated February 1st.
Move to approve as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. I think I heard Councilman Allen first. All right. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Didn't hear any. Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. I don't believe we have any proclamations, resolutions, plaques, or announcements. So we are moving straight to our hardworking, illustrious, dynamic representative, Kim Schofield, who is here to give us an update about what's happening under the Gold Dome. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here, and we appreciate your service to the citizens of this community.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to this esteemed council. I am State Representative Kim Schofield. I am one of the voices down at the Capitol under the Gold Dome for College Park. I just wanted to stop by and give you a little updates. We're going into our 17th day of legislative session. As you know, we go 40 days, not necessarily consecutively, but we're 40 days. And so at this particular time, a couple of items that you need to be aware of is that right now we have been working a lot on the voting rights bills and the election bills. As we know it's not so much about the legislators passing bills, but a lot of our work is done stopping bad bills. And so right now there are 30 election bills on the table, voting bills on the table, and some of them are geared toward voter suppression. And so those bills we will be looking at very closely to make sure that my colleagues and I that represent College Park are working in the best interests of this city as well as all Georgians, because voting is our right. And we are very glad that we can stand in the gap to make sure that these bad bills get stopped. A couple of other bills that I'm working on is definitely on the forefront, and a priority is the MOST bill. And the MOST bill is HB 160, the municipal option sales tax bill. And everyone says, well, do you think it has a chance to get pushed? Well, I can tell you this, I'm doing the most. And so we're going to work as hard as we can to get the hearing. Representative William Bodie and other members of the delegation are working to push this bill through. We're trying to get a hearing this week. And so I'll be in touch with mayor and council to let them know where we are. And if we need some help from you to make calls, we'll definitely let you know. A couple of other pieces of legislation that I have is House Resolution 53 that actually puts a moratorium on those that have been dinged on their credit due to COVID. It doesn't give you a free pass, but we know between that time of the COVID virus, there were circumstances beyond our control, and people are having trouble with their credit. And credit affects everything. So from jobs to housing to businesses, we're trying to get a moratorium on that. The other bill that I've been working on is a cap on insulin for people that are diabetic to make sure the consumer price is a fair and equitable price. The last thing I would say is the Crown Act, which is a bill, and that's HB 220, which is a bill that has passed in Clayton County to end discrimination racial discrimination because of the hair that comes out of our heads. We think that this is not important, but it's a very problematic area when it comes to housing, education, and jobs. So we passed that out of the county, Clayton County. I'm working with College Park to see what areas we can do to improve and remove barriers for people. Along those lines, I've been very active since March of last year, working on the unemployment issues. I know there's still so many people who have not received their unemployment benefits or an appeal process because of the Georgia Department of Labor's failure to operate in the best interest of our state. And so I've been very at the forefront working on these issues, and know that we've asked for help from the our congressional leaders, and we're continuing to move the needle for people who've lost their jobs through no fault of their own. And I think that's all I have. For any information about the bills, I do have air quality bills, I have environmental health bills. If you want to see the legislations that I'm working on, you can go to www.legis.ga.gov. That's www.legis.ga.gov. I'm also proud to be working on an initiative with Council Member Ambrose Clay, and I'm sure he'll say more about it when he gets an opportunity. But thank you for allowing me to serve, and I will take any questions. I also have an open door policy. So if you need to reach me, my number is 404-656-0220. That's 404-656-0220. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do on behalf of not only the citizens of your district, but Georgia's citizens every single day. We are lucky to have you representing us. Does anyone have any questions?
No, just thank you very much for coming and sharing with us. We appreciate it very much. And we look forward to doing this more often.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Allen.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and move forward to additional citizen remarks. Ms. Moore?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have one comment that was submitted to our pcomment@collegeparkga.com email. I'm going to start my timer. And it reads, greetings, Madam Mayor and Council. I am Demetrius Dennis Taylor, and I reside in the Embarcadero Club Apartments located at 2210 Sullivan Road. Congratulations, Madam Mayor, as you celebrate the completion of your first year as Mayor of College Park. I'm sure this has been a very daunting and completely outside of the scope of what you've imagined this would be like as you were struggling to get through this pandemic. Thanks also to Councilman Taylor for your due diligence in Ward 2, and it's good to see you in these meetings and not just hearing your voice. It makes a world of difference. I would like to inquire about our media presence. We are at the epicenter of extraordinary development within our city, and I truly believe that it would behoove us if we had a steady media presence, both television and print, in an effort to entice not only the citizens of College Park and our Tri-Cities area, but other citizens of Georgia as well. How can we make this happen? We seem to have an allegiance with WSB as well as CBS 46, who covers our glorious dynamic College Park Skyhawks. So how do we capitalize on these relationships, and who are our print media partners and liaisons? And one more thing, we do have our own public access channel that is supposed to be our direct connection to generating our own media presence within the community and Tri-Cities areas. How can we diversify the budget spending with and for this entity to reshape our communication efforts so that our citizens have knowledge of the channel in addition to utilizing it effectively to see the transparency of our city government effervescently? Thank you for your time and careful consideration. Demetrius Dennis Taylor, Ward 2. And I have no other comments submitted.
All right. If there's anyone at this time who would wish to speak on a topic for 1 minute, and they can go ahead and raise their hand. And Mr. Hicks, if you'll let me know if you see anyone.
Yes, ma'am. I'm looking right now. No one as of yet.
All right, we'll go ahead and move forward to other business. Item 6A, COVID-19 update by Kaiser Permanente Chief Epidemiologist, Dr. Felipe Labello. I believe Dr. Baker is handling this one.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Dr. Felipe Labello, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Thanks so much for inviting me. Can you hear me okay?
You're fine, sir.
Perfect. Well, it's my pleasure to join you today to talk a little bit about COVID, and obviously this is a still a hot topic. So let's spend the next few minutes summarizing the state of COVID in Fulton County, and also let's talk a little bit about vaccines, and you probably have heard the word variants of the virus. So in terms of activity of the virus, and I shared some slides. I don't know if those are available, but it's okay if they're not. We can talk about sort of the activity levels as you've seen in the news. We've seen probably 3 or 4 weeks of steady decline in all the indicators around COVID. So the new cases, the percent of positive tests that we're doing, and also the infection rate, which is a way to summarize, how much, virus there is in the community. All those numbers have been luckily going down for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And that probably reflects the fact that, after the holiday gatherings, we saw a big increase in infections and the consequences of those, hospitalizations and deaths. But luckily, those are starting to subside. We look at what the CDC puts out in terms of epidemiologic forecasts for the next 30 days. And the forecast is continued declines. The problem is that we were in such a high peak this last, holiday season that, we still have ways to go to even go back to what we were, what we had in the summer. So even though the numbers and the trends are very encouraging, the downhill that we're experiencing and the amount of virus that we had over over the holidays was so high that we still ways to go to be out of the woods when it comes to the virus. The important thing to remember here is that as tired we get of the virus doesn't get tired. And even though millions of Americans and many of our citizens have been infected, we're still not even close to what's called herd immunity, or an amount of the population that has been infected that will slow down the virus. Luckily, vaccines are here, and the rates of vaccination have been improving over the last couple of weeks, especially because of the new administration sort of additional steps to put resources and speed up the vaccination effort. But it's going to take some time for us to really see the full effects of vaccination, and also to get us to that quote unquote herd immunity. I really don't think we're going to get there until probably the end of the year, even if this pace continues. And we hope that this pace can be maintained or even accelerated. We're around, vaccinating around 2 million Americans per day now, and we probably need to get to 3 million. But there's hope that the vaccine will help us go back to something akin to normal. Obviously right now in Georgia, we're vaccinating individuals over 65 and also individuals that work in healthcare settings and retirement homes. And we hope that over the next few weeks, we're going to be able to move to the next tier of priority, meaning individuals that are younger than 65, but that probably have additional risk in terms of comorbidities that may have or other factors. But we're still waiting to hear from the state and also from national leaders when that's going to be. I think the vaccine supply is improving, and that's good news, but it's still, as you probably have heard, there's still long lines, there's still long waits because we don't have, we have more demand than supply. Hopefully that will be reversed in the coming weeks. And now it's sort of, those are the good news. The bad news is the variants. These, different mutations in the virus that have been identified in other countries and that we know are here, not only in the US, but in our state. Of particular interest is the UK variant, which we know it's problematic because it has a much higher rate of transmission, 50 to 70% higher transmission rate. And there's also, we're starting to see data that shows that perhaps it's even more virulent. That's another word for saying that it can lead to more severe disease. And the combination of those, but particularly the high transmission rates, really concerns us, because if you've paying attention to what the CDC has said, they're saying that this variant is going to become the dominant variant in our country over the next 8 to 10 weeks. Where about 5% of the new infections are this new variant, but it doubles every 10 days or so. So, we'll get to 10 and then to 20 and then to 40. And next time we check, we may be seeing another surge because this variant is so explosive. Many countries in Europe had to go back to a lockdown because of the effects of this new variant and the probability of overwhelming the healthcare system. So we're definitely not out of the woods yet. The vaccines work for this variant, but it's going to take some time, like I said, for us to vaccinate enough people to slow down transmission. So it's, at the end of the day, the public health message is still the same. Wear your mask every time that you go out of the house, particularly if you're in indoor settings. Avoid gatherings, and please vaccinate. Take advantage of vaccination as soon as you're able to, because it's really the only way to protect you from severe disease. So let me stop there. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, and I'm happy to try to shed some light on any questions that you may have.
Dr. Labella, we certainly appreciate your time. I know I saw last week, I think that the CDC is now recommending 2 masks for most people, that you would wear a surgical type mask and then a cloth mask on top of that.
Correct, Madam Mayor. That is the recommendation, and there's data showing that essentially by having more barriers to prevent droplets from getting out of your mouth and nose, and also to prevent for you from to inhale them. More barriers, it means more protection. One way to do that is to use a high filtration mask like a K95, and a lot of people have been successful in getting access to them. But if you don't have access to one, having a surgical mask, one of these blue masks that we use in healthcare, and using your cloth mask on top can produce also filtration levels that are going to protect you better.
One other question for you. In regard to I believe the UK variant is not the only variant that medical experts are concerned about. From your expert perspective, is the UK variant the top concern? Should we be looking at the South African one right behind it and the Brazilian variant after that? What can we expect?
Yeah, the top concern right now is the UK variant, because we know is here and is being transmitted in the community. We just don't know how big the iceberg under what we can test is. But given the experience of European countries, we have a pretty clear path of what can happen if this variant becomes the dominant one. Luckily, like I said, the vaccines work for that variant. It should be give you enough protection. The UK and the South African and the Brazil variant worry us because they may have what we call immune escape, meaning the vaccines may not work as well in them, and our treatments, particularly monoclonal antibodies, may not work as well on them, but we still need to have more data. And those variants are not as commonly present in the US as the UK variant is. So, I take the approach of let's worry what we have in front of us, and let's, we'll cross the bridge of the other variants if we have to, but hopefully by then we'll have enough vaccination that it'll render that a moot point.
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I think you've done a good job of asking the questions I had, Mayor.
All right.
Madam Mayor, I just want to provide you all with a COVID update as far as our workforce as of today. We have 7 confirmed positives, 17 who have been exposed, and 1 person employee that's hospitalized, with a total of 25 employees as of today affected by COVID-19.
Typically, we wouldn't necessarily allow questions from everyone, but considering the topic, there is someone in the audience, probably a citizen, who has raised their hand. So I'm going to allow them to ask a question because I think it's important information that we get out. So I believe it's Jasmine.
Hi, I'm here.
Okay.
How you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. So I hopped on a little late, so I'm not sure if you guys covered anything dealing with billing or anything like that as far as like College Park citizens, but I had a question.
This is just about COVID-19.
Okay.
If you have a question regarding COVID-19.
Okay, no, I didn't know if it was specifically just for COVID or if it was for everything that was going on.
We already had public comment, so we're all set there. Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Go right ahead with your question.
I'm sorry. I didn't have a question.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Dr. Labella, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. It's so important that we get this information out into the community, and we are grateful that you took the time to spend with us this evening to share it.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, and keep up the good work, and just keep sending the message. We're not out of the woods yet. Things are looking better, but we cannot let our guard down. So thanks for your attention.
All right, thank you. Councilman Allen, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say, while we're talking about the COVID, I just want to say thank you to Chief Elmore, to Mercedes Miller, and everybody's concerned. Everybody's been involved in moving the vaccine to the GICC. This is great for the citizens of College Park. It's great for the citizens of the South Side, and it's great for Georgia because we can get more people vaccinated. So again, Chief Elmore, Mercedes, Mayor, you had a big part to doing it. Thank you all very, very much.
Andrea Smalls, let's not forget Andrea Smalls and
Andrea
Chief
Smalls,
Williford as well. There's so many people, but so grateful to everyone who has worked to make that happen. All right, we're going to move on to item 6B. It's discussion and update on the top 10 delinquent property tax payers. Does anyone have any questions regarding that information?
I got all my questions answered, Mayor. I don't have anything to bring up here.
Okay, anyone else? Hearing none, we'll move on to 6C, discussion and update on the top 10 delinquent utility customer accounts. Any questions on that?
No questions here.
All right. And 6D is College Park Utility Assistance Grant Program update. I think someone, if they could go ahead and mute, because I'm hearing myself lagging. I think it's the phone number with 1896.
Okay, I'm looking for it right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions on 6D? Hearing none, we're moving on. Item 7, we have no public hearings tonight. 8A is consideration of an action on bids received to perform street resurfacing on Colonial Drive under the GDOT 2020 Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant Program. Mr. Mason, this sounds like your territory. Is Mr. Mason here? I thought I saw him.
Muted.
There you go. I was saying good evening, Madam Mayor and City
Good
Council. This was an item that was requested several council meetings ago that we're bringing forward for approval for the resurfacing of Colonial Drive due to the overall road conditions. I would point that there's other streets with the remaining LMIG funds that we'll be bringing forward to have that work completed this spring as well.
Any questions on this? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Make a motion.
I'm sorry, both of you started motioning at the same time. So ask for a motion, I got 2. So I'm sorry, go. One of you just go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right. And approve Mullins Brothers paving, the low bidder.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, gentlemen. The next item on the agenda is consideration of an action on a request authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates, Inc. to complete the Road Street final roadway plans from the Road Street Bridge to Red Wine Avenue. I believe this would be Mr. Jones.
Yes, Madam Mayor. We're looking at trying to complete the final construction plans for the Road Street roadway. The details are within the agenda packet. This will be sufficient for the developers of the residential district within 6 West Development. And at this time, I'm here available to answer any questions along with Mike Laudell from Kimley Horn, Hector Morales, who's serving as project manager from BDR, and then Jackson Myers.
All right. Are there any questions for the group?
I have no questions. It looks good.
Anyone else? All right. Hearing none. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Gay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Not sure I heard Councilman Taylor there. Are any opposed? Any abstentions? It is unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 9, unfinished old business. Doesn't look like there's any of that. 10, new business, consideration of an action on the approval of a professional services agreement with NFP Corporate Services Insurance Brokerage and Consulting for the purpose of providing broker services for employee health benefits and workers' compensation services as recommended by the city's Health Insurance Committee, and further to authorize the mayor to execute all documents necessary to facilitate the award and establish a broker of record. That is a very long sentence. All right. So let's open this up for discussion. We had lots of discussion in the workshop session regarding this. there additional questions? I believe the representatives from NFP are still here with us.
Yes, ma'am.
I
All
had
right.
two questions for
Okay. Okay.
let's see what package page it is. On the documents attached to this consideration, there is a price sheet by the 10 bidders. NFP, the company that they recommend, does not have a flat rate. They just have commission only. So my question is, where does the flat rate come in, and can that be counted after they submit a commission to and being seen by the other respondents?
Okay, I think you're referring to page 84 of our packet.
Mine's is online, but I read it earlier. It's on the package page. There's a sheet with all of their costs.
It's the tabulation matrix. Is that what you're referring to?
I believe so. So the question, we're looking at the lowest responsive bidder. They have commission only, so that's not but now they're saying a flat rate. So my question is, how do we compare that with the other respondents?
Where'd that flat rate come from? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's I can get my
okay. Dr. Baker, Ms. Miller, can anyone answer that question?
They did have a flat rate as well. I don't know if it was included in the matrix, but there was an $80,000 flat rate.
Yes, it was listed in their initial proposal.
Yeah, it may not have been brought over to the matrix. I didn't get a chance to review the matrix.
But just caution that when the other unsuccessful bidders see the matrix, then the second question I had was Brown Financial Group has $87,000 flat rate and 5% commission. My question is, if the funders don't know what our workers' comp costs are, how can the committee know the cost to award?
Repeat that last part of your question, Councilman.
Okay, if the respondents don't know what our workers' compensation cost is not lower or higher than the successful bidder who just have a flat rate. What if 5% commission comes to much less amount? How do you know how to select the lowest responsive bidder?
My response was based on, or my tabulation was based on what was provided. I don't know what that rate would be, like you just said. So therefore my decision was made, or recommendation was made based on the information that was provided in the proposal packet. So I wouldn't have an answer for you, unfortunately. Sorry.
What was the criteria that the committee used to evaluate? Was it more than price?
Yes, ma'am. It's on the scorecard.
Yeah.
The items that are listed on the scorecard.
What are those?
If any of the other committee members can chime in.
They were prior experience with the city. They were value-added services and products, organization size and structure of offers firm, qualification of offer to complete this contract, offer understands the city's needs and objectives, fees, compensation for broker services.
Okay. Thanks. Appreciate that. Councilman Gay, did you have any additional questions?
Is there do we have in our bids a way that bidders can protest?
Ms. Miller?
Questions, is that built in our bid process?
We do, Councilman Gay, and we did have a protester and we did answer them today.
And the final question is, should we select this vendor tonight? Does that mean that our current workers' comp broker now cease from providing services, and have they been notified?
Their contract will end on June 1st, sir, our current worker comp provider.
So they will continue on until
Yes,
June,
sir. Yes, sir.
but not our current benefits broker. Will they continue on to the length of their contract, or will their services cease if we award this?
I have not seen that contract, unfortunately. Ms. Miller, can you chime in on that?
They will go until till June 1st. So June 1st will begin our new benefits.
All right, thank you. I have no other questions, Mayor.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other questions from anyone?
Mayor, I have one.
Okay.
I got all my questions answered during the work session, except for one. In the document, there is mentioned, I don't remember the words and I don't remember the page now, but it's talk about a carve-out strategy for dealing with expenses. Can you explain that, Tammy?
Absolutely. Yeah. So on the employee benefits side, we look at multiple avenues of opportunities for savings, especially within the health plan, where you may carve out certain services. So that could include the prescription benefit management. So carving that out away from a specific carrier and having a specialized pharmacy benefit manager administer those benefits, negotiate those costs, and manage the rebates there. It could include disease management, so that we're looking at maybe outside of our carrier, a more specialized disease management firm to focus on those services. And then also the stop loss coverage. So the reinsurance, as the city potentially considers self-insured policies, to carve out a separate reinsurer from the TPA or the insurance carrier.
Okay, good. I was just concerned that it might be a carve out of a particular benefit, and that's not what you're talking about.
No.
That's good to hear. Good to hear.
And
for those folks who may not have been with us for the workshop session, could you introduce yourself, Ms. Starkey?
Absolutely. My name is Tammy Starkey. I am Vice President of the NFP Georgia Employee Benefits Operations.
Thank you. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One abstention, one opposed.
You're voting no. Okay. So that means Councilman Allen, Councilman Clay, Councilman Taylor in favor, Councilman Gay is opposed. The motion passes. Item 11A is consideration of an action on a proposed resolution requesting that the local legislative delegation introduce legislation during the 2021 session of the Georgia General Assembly to adopt a low-income homestead freeze exemption for residents of College Park with a household gross adjusted income that is at or below 150% of the federal poverty level. And I know that there was a discussion about including seniors. I would assume that would be 65 and up. Is that correct?
It's actually 70 and up.
70 and up.
Yes, this was something that Councilman Gay brought up a couple of months ago, and we would like to add it to the discussion and the resolution.
Sure.
If I may give some clarification.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't asking to exempt by age. I was asking to exempt people who have homestead exemptions from Fulton County. This is a great resolution, by the way, more than I could have asked for, but it still doesn't include the demographics of residents, because there may be seniors who are not at the 150% of the federal poverty level, but they are not exempt, but they're exempt from Fulton County. I wanted that included with the resolution. Not age.
Okay.
What do you mean not age?
Okay, well, age is a criteria for homestead exemption. So
right, as seniors.
So I don't know that we're saying the same thing. I just know that if you're exempt from Fulton County homestead.
Because of your age?
Okay.
Well, okay. All right. So I heard you a couple of meetings ago talking about exempting the seniors who were exempted in Fulton County. You wanted to see if they could be exempted in College Park as well, correct? So this resolution is a complete adoption. Well, not adoption, but it's a it is taken very closely from what proposal is in Athens, and so we can certainly tailor it to what works for us. I know that in talking with Ms. Miller earlier today, she has some information about the numbers of people that may be impacted and what that would mean for the city coffers, because certainly we have to consider that if this was something that we would want to move forward on.
Correct, Mayor. Actually, Fulton County was closed today. So Philip Latana and Afia actually went through the list, and the list was thousands. And what we could pull out based on the code, we have an estimate. And our estimate for disabled or people 70 and over, it would take away from the city about $55,336.84. We can confirm that number tomorrow, but that's just an estimate based on the codes that they pulled out the report.
And that is people who are not paying homestead, or who have homestead exemptions right now.
Correct.
And so this resolution is expanding that, because the folks that are at or below 150% of the poverty level wouldn't necessarily qualify for a homestead exemption, other than
correct
what those of us who live in our homes get. So
correct.
So we don't have a complete number right now.
No, we don't.
As to the impact.
Yes, ma'am.
Questions, thoughts, comments? I think we probably need a little bit more information before we can push this forward for a total number of what we're dealing with. I think that's a fairly responsible thing to do for folks who are in our positions. But I do want to have some discussion about it and see what the body thinks.
Mayor, I had a question that was actually, or a suggestion that was presented to me by one of my constituents via email today. And they were, and I'm not going to reread the whole thing, but they were basically saying some places do freezes in assessment value as opposed to this approach. And have the, I assume it's our state legislators that would be the authors of this.
To give us the option of, yes.
Yeah, have they considered the possibility? Oh, good. Representative Schofield is still here.
She's not the author of it. I mean, this is coming from us to them. So
okay, but she'll be one of the ball carriers.
Indeed.
Well, so has that been considered, freezing assessments as opposed to this approach? Has anybody considered that?
It has not been considered, and I think that's a good approach as well.
Well, Councilman Clay, that's exactly what this resolution does. It freezes the assessment for that demographics. Because then as people move into our city, they call it gentrification, and
right.
But this would freeze that for people who this would, I think.
No, you're right.
I thought this was getting at it through the homestead exemption as opposed to just freezing the assessment on the property. I mean, some places assessments are either capped or there's a maximum value that the assessment can grow each year. In fact, I think even Georgia has some limitation on that, if I may be corrected. So I'm just basically asking, have we looked at other approaches that might give us a different advantage? I mean, give our seniors and our low-income people a bigger advantage, et cetera, et cetera.
Councilman Clay, there is a exemption that Fulton County offers. It's a freeze for senior citizens. And that person must be at least 65 years of age, and there is an income cap as well. So that is an exemption that is offered by Fulton County.
So if we were to extend that for not just people that were seniors, but were also at this lower level of income, 150, pick the same percentage, 150% of poverty level. Is that something we might want to look at? I'm just throwing that out.
Well, we have to remember that every time we add something to it, it's taking money from the city. So, it's taking money out of our coffers.
This would take more money. What I had proposed was just the exemption, homestead exemption, which you just stated is 55,000. This may increase it, correct? This resolution, Mercedes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Why don't I do this? Rather, the mayor said they'd like to bring it back and see what the totals are. Let me forward the email to you, and
I think I was copied on it as well. So
everybody can take a look at it.
Okay.
Is there consensus that this is something that we're interested in examining for more?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think so too.
All right. Councilman Gay?
I think gentrification is a real problem, and the way home prices are going up, and I've even mentioned that at a couple of meetings previous to this, things that my wife has seen on Zillow. We need to take action, and we need to take action before things change too much. Otherwise, we're going to be freezing at a base rate that's too high even for the people that are here now.
Well, let's do some further examination. Glad that there's consensus that we should do some deeper dives.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. City manager's report.
I have nothing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Report of mayor and council. Councilman Clay.
Okay, I have several items. I'll try to keep it quick since we're doing so well on time. Speed cushions and lower limit on Herschel. I was down Herschel maybe about a week ago, and maybe things have changed since then, but I haven't seen a lower speed limit, and I haven't seen any speed cushions. And I was under the impression the speed cushions were in. So where are we on that?
Councilman Clay, as I understand it, speed cushions are in, but the temperatures are too cold for the epoxy to be of any use. So we're gonna have to have a few days of weather that's above 50 degrees for the epoxy to take hold and for the street department to be able to install those.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the reduction in the speed limit? In other words,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilman.
Would it make sense to reduce the speed limit even before we get the cushions in so people could get at least used to the idea that there's a lower speed limit?
We're working on the signs now, and we'll begin installing this week, the signs.
Good,
Yes,
good,
sir.
good. Okay. Next question is on traffic measurement. Chief, I tried to give you a heads up that I was going to bring this up tonight. I hope you saw it. In our discussion, I have one constituent that we took some traffic measurements on their street literally weeks ago.
Yes.
And we haven't been able to extract the data. And you and I were kicking around some ideas about possibly new measurement equipment that wouldn't be too costly. Do you have any status on that?
I think we're going to have to go forward with that, Councilman Clay, to use another means of measuring that data. Those machines are old, and we're having a difficult time finding what we need to get those things to work again. So we're going to have to look at replacing some replacements there.
Well, is there, this is probably within the approval limit of the city manager, is this something that you can find some money in the budget to cover, so that, because we've got a lot of crazy people that are driving around the city at high speeds, and we need to figure out where best to employ some sort of speed retardation, whether it be speed humps or enforcement or what have you. is there a possibility that we can do something to get some equipment in place so we can make some measurements and to control that?
Yes, sir. We'll work on that this week.
Okay, thank you. And next, this is for Mike Mason. And Mike, I don't know, my memory may have failed me on this one, but I remember driving down Parkview toward Rugby Avenue. And there's an area along Parkview where the tree roots have pushed up the street and literally created humps in the street. I thought I mentioned it, but I couldn't swear to that I brought it to your attention. And of course, the issue is there to fix it, we're going to have to cut the tree roots out. This is not a case of resurfacing the whole street. It's just a question of going down there. I would imagine there's a distance, it's been a long time since I drove it. And then, by the way, the reason this came up is I got an email from a citizen that says, would you please drive down the street and see this? And I haven't responded to them yet. I hope they're listening, but I already drove down the street and saw it. And I thought I had brought it up. But so this is a matter of digging up and cutting the roots off and patching up maybe 20 or 30 feet of the street.
That is correct, Councilman.
Can we do that?
Yes. Matter of fact, that's on our schedule to get complete this spring. Once we get some decent weather where we can do asphalt work, we'll make sure that location get addressed.
Okay, so maybe I did bring it up. Anyhow, okay, good. The other thing that they had in their letter email was a drain at Rugby Lane that has been broken and out of service and had a cone on it for, they said, months. I think they may have even said a year. And I know, I expect you've got a worker shortage in this area, because I know there's a couple other areas along Atlanta, for example, between Mercer and Lyle. There's some areas that clearly you're trying to do it, and you've poured the concrete and you've got the forms and so forth ready to set it in, but it hasn't been done yet. And lastly, and most importantly, actually, I should have put this first, as Representative Schofield had mentioned, we have a joint concern about airport noise, and I had been working with her about a year ago before COVID came, because we had some noise complaints out east of the city, I think it was in the Rex area, if I remembered rightly. And I looked into it with my equipment and tracked the planes a bit and what have you, and got back to her, and we talked about doing something about it. And as it turned out, COVID came along. So she's contacted me several weeks ago, and we started talking about it again. And I know Representative Schofield wants to have a town hall on the issue. And ironically, at exactly almost the same time, I got notification that the FAA had put out this notice on the federal website that there was a study that was completed on a noise survey. Actually, it was an environmental survey on neighborhoods, but it was really called a noise survey. I mentioned this before to the council. And so they're looking for comments by the 15th. We put it on our website. I put it on my website, and Representative Schofield wants to have a town hall, and the FAA is going to have a informative webinar on the 22nd at 6 p.m., which was the same time we were trying to reschedule our town hall. So that's not going to work, but we're in the process of trying to schedule her town hall, not mine. And I'm trying to get some people together, and we're trying to zero in on a date. But there will be a webinar on the 22nd at 6 p.m. by the FAA, and it's on my website. And Gerald, I'm sure you're listening. You need to get that on the city website too. I just got notice of that one. And you want
Councilman
to
Clay.
comment on that, Representative?
I was going to say she wanted to comment on it.
Yes, and I'm just so excited about this and an opportunity to work together, because again, it's been over a year, but I also want you to know that I heard from the airport today, and tomorrow they'll let me know they will be joining and having someone participate as well.
Outstanding. I thought there was hope now that I was worried the FAA wasn't going to allow anybody during the comment period. And since they're speaking themselves, it's fair game, right?
Yes. So I'm excited. Thank you.
Okay, that's all. That's all we have for right now, and we'll be back to everybody with a date for your town hall, Representative. That's it, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Clay. Councilman Taylor?
I don't have anything.
All right. Councilman Allen?
First of all, let me just remind everybody there's black ice possibility tonight. So if you're out driving, be careful. Again, as I always mention, let's all work together and try to take care of the COVID issue as quick as we can. Wear your mask. Please do social distancing. Avoid gathering. Stay safe. We need to take care of our citizens and their employees. Let's do the right thing. And I don't know if Jackson Myers is on the phone or not, but periodically it'd be great to have just kind of an update on where we stand on some of the grants. I know you all are doing an excellent job of bringing in some grants and some money into the city, and it'd just be kind of a good idea to hear some of the things that you have working. That would be good. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Councilman Gay?
Yes, I just have a few items. I want to recognize Oscar Hudson, building inspections for the completed project. Well, it's not completed, but it's 80% complete at 2601 Roosevelt. This is a community that was so blighted that we've had, I guess, 3 homicides when I came on council. I mean, people were living in deplorable. And Mr. Hudson worked with the new owners and made a professional decision to support them and be patient with them, way more patient than I was. But as a result, they put about $3.5 million redevelopment. And if anybody's ever in that area, please stop by there. It's just amazing property. And Director Hudson should be recognized. The other thing is, we've had 2 citizens appreciated by way of the police truck, the fire department. It's called a drive-up appreciation. And I think that the people are well-deserving, and it's an amazing gesture. What I've been called about is that how do people get recognized and what is the criteria? So I would like for us to look at this being, if we're going to continue to do that, maybe there'll be some kind of ad hoc committee that decides who get recognized, because I even got a call that they thought the person who was being recognized had died. So I would like to be able to effectively communicate it, especially if we're going to use our city resources to recognize private citizens. The other thing I have, just 2 more, and I brought this up all the time. It's the borders that connect, at least my ward. I don't know if your other council members are affected by this, but we have Roosevelt Highway and we have Washington Road. The council members in the other jurisdiction does an amazing job. In fact, I just sent one of them a Valentine's card. But my point is, I need code enforcement and those other departments to help me somehow communicate with them, because the borders that connect to us, that they're just not in our standards. Litter, that there's a truck that's been there. We don't know if it's ours, if it's theirs. They're tractor trailers. If you go down Washington Road and turn on Washington Road, they're starting to let road trucks now park. And I'm just like for them to kind of appreciate our high standards and work with us on those borders. My only final one is CSX Railroad. CSX Railroad, as you know, runs parallel to 29. But in Ward 2 and Ward 4, there's a lot of dense brush up on the ramp. And what I've learned is that the contractors that they use to mow will only pick up the litter down on the street. But those hills just look deplorable. I mean, it looks so bad, I actually want to go pick up the paper. So my point is, CSX have a grant program for litter. CSX have a lot of resources. They still have the railroad ties that have not been moved in a year now. So I wish that our leadership could reach out to CSX. I have a contact number to help them to just try and keep our right-of-way along their tracks in a little bit better condition. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, sir. And I just wanted to highlight again, we are so excited about the Georgia International Convention Center being a site for vaccinations in Fulton County, much needed for our community and the entire South Fulton region. And I wanted to thank again, Interim City Manager Mercedes Miller, Chief Elmore from the Fire Department, Chief Williford from the Police Department, Andrea Smalls, who directs our emergency management, Denise Cole from the GICC, everyone who I'm forgetting. And I apologize about that, but I know it was a group effort. I'm so grateful that we were ready when the call went out. And I am proud that we're going to be able to show that off to the entire region because we are ready to serve, we are ready to assist, and ready to do our part to help put COVID-19 in the rearview mirror. We are still taking signups for the Neighborhood Watch. So all you have to do is go to collegeparkga.com and sign up for that. And we are excited to get rolling in probably late winter, early spring. So sign up as soon as you can. We're putting more information about it on social media and on the website. Chief Williford.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you looking for police officers?
Desperately.
Tell us what you're looking for in a police officer.
Well, anyone over the age of 21, school graduate minimum, with a zeal to serve. People, they're just looking for a paycheck because to be an effective police officer, you need to have a passion for the job and a passion for people.
Excellent.
We are taking applications. Just go to the city website and you can apply online. And we will be in touch with you to schedule a physical agility and move forward with the process.
Fantastic. Wanted to take the time to get a plug in there because we have a whole lot of people who are not just here for a paycheck, and we want you to be part of that if you're interested in serving our community. Wanted to thank Michelle Johnson and everyone who is involved in the Drive Up Appreciation for Mrs. Jessie Phillips, who does so much to make sure that our Black History Month program is top notch each and every year, no matter virtual or in person. And so I think the recognition was well deserved, and wanted to thank Ms. Johnson for making sure that went off without a hitch. And lastly, got an email a couple of hours ago about the fact that because of the inclement weather, Fulton County schools are all virtual tomorrow, universal virtual. So for those folks who may not know that, spread the word and let everybody in on that because no one's going to school. They're all staying behind a computer tomorrow. So we have executive session minutes from tonight and Thursday's BIDA meeting to approve. Let's start with tonight's. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. I believe that was unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. And we need to approve the executive session minutes from the BIDA meeting on Thursday, February 11th.
So moved.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Taylor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain.
You abstained because you weren't there, right?
I wasn't there.
Okay. All right. So that's Councilman Allen, Councilman Clay, Councilman Taylor in favor, and Councilman Gay abstained. So that passes as well. I think that is all the business that we have for this evening. So at 8:35, we are adjourned. Have a great evening, everybody. Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.